Time for another episode of Dumb Calls for Service. And this one isn't really dumb, it's more weird, but it's my rookie year. So we're looking at 98, 99, I guess. And I had been on the road by myself, not very long. Long enough to have not yet been dispatched to that house. So call comes out, and dispatch sends over the address, and I start heading that way. And of course I can hear, the radio, everybody on the shift, which at the time I was working for a small city. And sidebar, I think every cop should have to work in a small city for their, first at least 2 years, because it teaches you things like how to police and how to communicate and how not to get into a fight and all of these other small intangible things that you don't really think about if you're with a bigger agency. We would run maybe 5 or 6 cars a night, and I can't remember how many square miles we were policing, but it wasn't much. But like on a Sunday night, the city rolls up the sidewalks and there's not a whole lot going on after, say, 10 o'clock, but we'd run 3, maybe 4 cars. So if you were out somewhere, you get out on a traffic stop and wind up scrapping, it's just you, because your beat partner, you may not even have a beat partner. Your next backup may be on a call on the other side of the city, and you either need to know how to talk people into handcuffs, out of fighting, or be able to fight, because it might just be you and the random tow truck driver that comes along. Anyway, I digress. So I can hear people walking on each other on the radio, and finally there's enough airtime for my supervisor to call me, and he says, "Hey, just be aware that lady's a little 1047." Well, 1047 in our world is mental. So I get to the address, and it's a duplex, an older duplex. And by older, I mean it was probably 60 years old or so. And this woman had apparently been living in this duplex since time began. So I get out, and the call came out as a disturbance between neighbors. And seeing that it was a duplex, I'm like, all right, somebody's being loud on one side or the other. It's fine, whatever. Knock on the door. And this elderly woman, she cracks the door open. She says, "Is this the police?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am. My name's Officer Porter. You mind if I step in? You tell me what's going on." So she opens the door just wide enough for me to get in, and I step inside, and it's your typical elderly person house, I guess you could say. It's it's got the kerosene heater, and it's got the old furniture and the stacks of newspaper and the stacks of magazine and Reader's Digest and TV Guide and all of the things that old people have. There's doilies everywhere. But what I was most struck by when I stepped into this house was the sheer volume of fucking aluminum foil. And I don't mean aluminum foil in the container on the roll. I mean aluminum foil on the walls, on the ceiling, various parts of the floor. I shit you not. This house was wallpapered in aluminum foil. It was on the ceiling. It was everywhere. And I knew as soon as I walked in and see the magnitude of aluminum foil tree, that this was not going to go well for me. There was nothing I was going to be able to do to help this woman. But I persisted. "Ma'am, how can I help you? What seems to be the issue tonight?" "Well, you see, officer, I got these neighbors over there on the other side of the wall, and they've been touching me for years. And the other officers told me to put up aluminum foil so they couldn't touch me." How exactly is it that they're touching you if they're on the other side of the wall? "Well, what they doing is they sticking they fingers through the light socket, and they touching me, and sometimes they can touch me through the wall. Shit. Well, do you, I mean, are they like poking you or punching you, or I mean, do you have any like visible injury you can show me? No, because what they doing is they're touching my vagina. Excuse me? Yeah, sometimes when they put their thing through the light socket and they touch my vagina, and I don't like it. I don't like it a bit. She pulls up her nightgown, and it's one of those old lady nightgowns, it's got the zipper on it, and she pulls it up and shows me that she's... She had covered the outside of her unmentionables in aluminum foil. Now, I don't know, I mean, clearly, people have been coming to her house for years, and I don't think she had any family left, but she wasn't harmful to herself or really anybody else. So there was kind of a situation where we didn't have enough to get an involuntary commitment type of a thing going. We did the best we could with what we had, and clearly people had for years, because she had put up enough fucking aluminum foil to reflect the sun and burn an entire city down. Well, as I'm trying to figure this out and chewing on the inside of my cheek so as not to laugh, my supervisor comes in and he addresses her, Mrs. Smith, and she immediately recognizes him. Oh, Officer Smith, that's very nice of you to show up. I was just explaining to your new officer here how they've been touching my vagina through the light sockets. Well, at this point, I gotta walk out because I'm fucking through. There's nothing more I can do. My supervisor explains to her that what she needed to do in this situation was double the amount of aluminum foil around the light sockets and around the windows so that they couldn't transmit their hands, fingers, other appendages through those parts of the structure. And that would most likely take care of her problem. And she agreed. Well, you know what I'll do is I'll just run out tomorrow to the store, and I'm going to get me a couple of more rolls of Reynolds Wrap, and I'm going to cover it all up, because I'm sick of it. I'm telling you, they touching my vagina, and I'm sick of it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was my introduction to that address. And as it turns out, there's a million more of those addresses out there, but it's just one reason why this is the greatest job in the world. It truly is. Because where else are you going to go where you get to see the shit that we get to see? Especially an elderly woman who is having her vagina touched through the wall by forces unseen. Doesn't get any better than that, does it? You got a weird one? Leave it in the comments below. We'll see you.